The Great Hall of the Galactic Council was filled with hundreds of alien species. They came from every corner of the known universe. Some had scales that shined like metal. Others had skin that changed colors with their emotions. A few floated in special tanks because they could not breathe normal air. But today, they all shared one thing. They were all watching the human ambassador walk toward the center stage. Her name was, she was not tall. She was not strong-looking. She had dark hair that fell past her shoulders and eyes that seemed too calm for someone standing before the most powerful beings in the galaxy. She wore a simple black uniform with a small Earth symbol on her chest. Nothing about her looked dangerous. The delegation watched her with disgust. They were tall creatures with 4 arms and skin the color of dried blood. Their leader, High Commander, had fought in 100 wars. He had destroyed entire civilizations. He did not understand why his species had to share this council with such weak creatures. "Look at her," whispered to his second in command. "Humans have been in space for only 300 years. They are children playing in the darkness." His second nodded. "They have no natural weapons, no claws, no venom. Their bodies are soft and break easily. Yet the council treats them with such respect," said with anger in his voice. "It makes no sense." The council elder, a being so old that nobody remembered what species he truly was, raised his hand for silence. The hall became quiet. "We welcome Ambassador of Earth," the elder said. His voice was like wind through ancient trees. "She comes to present the annual peace terms between humanity and the Galactic Council." Bowed her head in respect. When she spoke, her voice was soft but somehow reached every corner of the massive hall. "Thank you, Elder. I bring greetings from Earth and all human colonies. We ask for nothing but continued peace and fair trade. We wish to be good neighbors to all species in this galaxy." A sound of approval came from many delegations. The humans had always been peaceful. They traded fairly. They helped others when disasters struck. They asked for very little and caused no trouble. But stood up, his 4 arms crossed over his massive chest. "I have a question for the human," he said loudly. The elder nodded. "You may speak, High Commander." Walked toward the center, stopping just a few feet from. He was 3 times her size. His shadow fell over her completely, but she did not step back. She did not look afraid. "My empire grows tired of these warnings," said. "Every year we hear the same thing. Do not attack humans. Do not provoke humans. Respect human space." He looked around the hall. "But why? What makes these soft creatures so special?" Many in the hall shifted nervously. Some looked away. Others actually left their seats and moved toward the exits. Remained calm. "We simply wish to live in peace, High Commander. The warnings exist to protect everyone." "Protect everyone," laughed. It was an ugly sound. "I have seen your military. Your ships are small. Your weapons are average. Your soldiers die just like anyone else." He leaned closer to her. "I think these warnings are lies. I think humanity has tricked this council into fearing shadows." The elder spoke quickly. "High Commander, I strongly advise you to stop this line of questioning." "Why?" demanded. "What will happen? Will the humans send their tiny fleet against my armada?" He laughed again. "I have 10,000 warships. I have conquered 30 species. What could humanity possibly do to me?" The hall was now very quiet. Many species were looking at each other with knowing eyes. They knew something that did not. Took a slow breath. "High Commander, do you know why the warnings exist?" "Because humans are cowards who hide behind rules," said. "No," replied. Her voice was still soft, but something in it had changed. "The warnings exist because of what happens when we stop being peaceful." She touched a small device on her wrist. A hologram appeared in the center of the hall. It showed a beautiful planet covered in green forests and blue oceans. "This was Prime," said, "home to the Empire. 300 years ago they attacked Earth. They killed 2 billion humans in one day." The hologram changed. Now it showed the same planet, but it was different. The forests were gone. The oceans were empty. The entire world was gray and dead. 6 months later, this is what remained of their home world, continued. Not destroyed by weapons, not burned by bombs, the simply disappeared, all of them, every colony, every ship, every single member of their species, gone. Tried to hide his surprise, but his skin had turned slightly pale. This proves nothing. Perhaps a disease killed them. No disease, said. We did not use ships or bombs or soldiers. We used something else. Something we created long ago during the dark times of our own history. Something we hoped we would never need again. What? Asked. Despite his pride, curiosity was winning. Turned off the hologram. She looked directly into his eyes. We call them hunters. The words seemed to make the air in the hall grow cold. Several species made sounds of fear. A few more delegations left the hall entirely. The elder spoke. His ancient voice was heavy with memory. I was alive when they attacked Earth. I was alive when humanity responded. What Ambassador says is true. The hunters are real, and they are something that should never be awakened. What are they? Asked. Some kind of weapon, a disease, machines. Shook her head. They are humans, but not like me, not like the soldiers you have seen. Hunters are different. They were created to do one thing and one thing only, to hunt those who harm humanity, to find them no matter where they hide, to end them completely. Created was confused. How can you create humans? During our World War III, we did terrible things to ourselves, explained. We made weapons that should never exist, chemical, biological, genetic. The hunters were born from that darkness, enhanced humans, stronger, faster, smarter, but that is not what makes them dangerous. She paused. The hall was completely silent. What makes them dangerous is that they have no limits. They feel no fear. They never stop. They never rest. They will cross the entire galaxy for a single target. They will wait for years if needed. They are patient like death itself. Tried to laugh, but the sound died in his throat. If they are so powerful, why do you not use them to conquer the galaxy? Because we are not conquerors, said. Humans want peace. We want to trade and explore and build. We kept the hunters sleeping because we hoped we would never need them again. They are our last option, our final response. They exist only to answer one question. What question? Whispered. Stepped closer to him. She was so small compared to his massive form, but somehow in that moment she seemed larger. The question is simple, she said. What happens when you push peaceful people too far? The hall remained silent for a long moment. Then the elder spoke. The Galactic Council maintains its warning to all species. Do not attack humanity. Do not provoke them. Do not test them. The cost is too high. The hunters are not a myth. They are not a story told to frighten children. They are real, and they are always watching. Returned to his delegation. He sat down heavily in his seat. His advisors looked at him with worry. Do you believe this? His second asked quietly. Did not answer immediately. He watched return to her seat among the human delegation. She smiled at her colleagues and laughed at something one of them said. She looked like any normal young woman, harmless, weak, but had fought many wars. He had learned to recognize danger, and something deep inside him, some instinct that had kept him alive through countless battles, was screaming at him now. Still his species did not bow to warnings. They did not fear soft creatures who talked about peace. It does not matter, finally said. The Empire will not be ruled by fear. Prepare the fleet. We will show this galaxy what real power looks like. His second hesitated. High Commander, perhaps we should investigate more. Learn about these hunters before we act. Grabbed him by the throat with one of his 4 arms. Are you questioning me? No, High Commander, his second gasped. Good, released him. Humans are weak. Their hunters are probably just stories, old legends to scare primitive species. He looked at the human delegation one more time. But even if they are real, they will learn that they are not like the. We will not disappear quietly. He stood up and walked out of the great hall. His delegation followed. Watch them leave. Her smile faded. She touched a small device hidden behind her ear. "This is Ambassador," she said quietly. "They are not listening. Recommend we move to Stage 1 protocols." A voice replied in her ear. It was calm and cold. "Understood. Hunters are monitoring. We wait for their move." Closed her eyes for a moment. She had tried her best. She had given them every chance. But some species did not listen until it was too late. When she opened her eyes, she saw one of her human colleagues looking at her with worry. "Do you think they will really attack?" he asked. Nodded slowly. "Yes, they are too proud to believe the warnings." "Then what happens?" Did not answer, but they both knew. Everyone in the human delegation knew. They had made their choice. And soon, very soon, they would learn why the galaxy feared not human ships or human weapons. They would learn to fear the hunters. And by then, it would be far too late to run. The colony on 7 was one of humanity's oldest in deep space. It had been built almost 200 years ago by the first wave of settlers who wanted to find new homes among the stars. Now it was home to over 5 million people. They lived in beautiful cities built between mountains and rivers. Children played in green parks under a sky that was slightly more orange than Earth's. Families ate dinner together and talked about their days. Old people sat on benches and watched the sunset. It was a peaceful place, a good place. Ho was a young man who worked as an emergency communications officer. His job was usually boring. He spent most of his time checking systems and making sure the colony could talk to Earth and other human worlds. The most exciting thing that happened was usually a birthday message that someone wanted to send to their family on another planet. That night, he was drinking coffee and watching the stars through the big window of his station. He loved this view. The stars looked like diamonds scattered across black cloth. He often thought about how lucky he was to live in a time when humans could reach those stars. His console beeped. He looked at it without much interest, expecting another routine message. What he saw made his blood turn cold. The sensors had detected something, many somethings. Hundreds of ships were dropping out of faster-than-light travel just outside the planet's orbit. Ho's hands shook as he checked the identification signals. The ships were all warships. He immediately hit the emergency alarm. Red lights began flashing throughout the communications center. His supervisor, an older woman named Mi Young, came running from her office. "What is it?" she demanded. Ho pointed at his screen. "Fleet, over 300 ships, they are moving toward us." Mi Young's face became pale. "That is impossible. We are at peace with the—" "Tell that to them," Ho said. They both watched as the ships moved closer. These were not trade vessels. They were warships, big ones with weapons that could destroy cities in seconds. Mi Young grabbed the main communication device. "All stations, this is emergency control. We have hostile ships incoming. Begin evacuation procedures immediately. This is not a drill. Repeat, this is not a drill." Across the colony, sirens began to scream. People who had been sleeping woke up in fear. Parents grabbed their children and ran for the underground shelters. Emergency vehicles raced through the streets. The police and the small military force that protected the colony tried to organize the evacuation. But everyone knew the truth. There was no time. The ships entered the atmosphere. They moved slowly, like monsters who knew their prey could not escape. The largest ship, a massive destroyer that blocked out the stars, positioned itself directly above the main city. A voice came through all communication channels. It spoke in the broken but understandable common language of the galaxy. "Humans of 7, this is High Commander of the Empire. Your government has threatened us for too long with their lies about hunters. Today, we show the galaxy that humans are nothing special. Today, We show everyone that the do not fear your empty warnings." Ho listened with horror. He tried to send a message to Earth, but the ships were blocking all long-range communications. They had planned this carefully. "You have 1 hour to surrender," continued. "Give us your leaders and your resources. Become slaves of the Empire, or we will destroy everything." Mi-young looked at Ho. Her eyes were wet with tears, but her voice was steady. "We need to get a message out. Earth needs to know what is happening here." "I am trying," Ho said, "but they are blocking everything." "Keep trying, find a way." The hour passed quickly. People ran through the streets screaming. Families held each other and cried. The small military force of the colony tried to fight back, but their weapons were like toys compared to the armada. When the hour ended, did not wait for a response. The first bomb hit the center of the main city. The explosion was so bright that it turned night into day. A wave of fire spread outward, destroying everything it touched. Buildings fell like they were made of paper. People who had not reached the shelters were gone in an instant. The sound was so loud that Ho felt it in his bones, even though he was in a bunker several miles away. Then came more bombs, one after another. The ships moved across the planet, dropping death everywhere they went. Cities that had taken generations to build were destroyed in minutes. Parks where children had played became fields of fire. Rivers turned to steam. Mountains crumbled. In his bunker, Ho kept working. His hands moved faster than they ever had before. He tried every frequency, every backup system, every trick he had learned in his training. Mi-young was on the floor next to him. She was injured. A piece of the ceiling had fallen and hit her leg, but she was still alive, still watching him work. "Did you get through?" she asked weakly. "Not yet," Ho said, "but I have an idea. They are blocking standard channels, but there is an old emergency system that uses a different technology. It was built by the first settlers. Nobody uses it anymore, but it might still work." He found the old system in the basement of the bunker. It was covered in dust and looked like something from a museum, but when he turned it on, the lights came to life. Ho grabbed the microphone. He did not know if anyone would hear him. He did not know if this old machine could reach Earth, but he had to try. "This is 7 emergency broadcast," he said. "The Empire has attacked our colony without warning. Hundreds of warships. They are destroying everything. Millions are dead. We need help. Please, if anyone can hear this, we need help." The ground shook as another bomb hit nearby. Dust fell from the ceiling. The lights flickered. "They are killing everyone," Ho continued. "Men, women, children, they do not care. This is not war. This is murder. This is." He stopped. He did not know what else to say. What words could describe what was happening? Then he remembered something. A story his grandmother had told him when he was young. A story about what humans did when pushed too far. A story about the hunters. He spoke into the microphone one more time. His voice was barely a whisper now. "Awaken." The message went out into space. Ho did not know if it reached Earth. He did not know if anyone heard it, but he had done everything he could. The bombing continued for 6 more hours. They were thorough. They did not just want to defeat the colony. They wanted to destroy it completely. They wanted to send a message to humanity and to the galaxy. When it was over, 7 was silent. The beautiful cities were gone. The green parks were ashes. The rivers were dry. 5 million people had lived there that morning. Now almost all of them were dead. High Commander looked at his work from his ship and smiled. "Send a message to all channels," he ordered. "Let the galaxy see what they can do. Let them see what happens when species make empty threats." His crew obeyed. Images of the destroyed colony spread across the galaxy. Species watched in horror. Many felt sick at what they saw. But on Earth, the reaction was different. In a room deep underground, a group of old men and women watched the destruction of 7. Their faces showed no expression. They had seen war before. They had seen death. They were not shocked easily. One of them, an old woman with silver hair and cold eyes, spoke first. They have made their choice. 5 million dead, another said, mostly civilians, families, children. They wanted to send a message, a third said. They wanted to show the galaxy that humans are weak. The old woman nodded. Then we will send our own message. She looked at the others. Do we agree? One by one they nodded. The old woman pressed a button on her console. A single word appeared on the screen. Awaken. Somewhere else, in a place that appeared on no map, something stirred. It was a facility built into the side of a mountain. From the outside it looked like nothing, just rock and trees and silence. But deep inside there were hundreds of people in special sleep pods. They had been sleeping for many years, decades, some for over a century. When the awakened signal reached the facility, lights began to turn on. Machines that had been silent for so long started to hum. The pods began the wake-up process. Inside one pod was a man named. He was not young, but he was not old either. His body was covered in scars from battles that had happened before most people in the galaxy were born. His muscles were still strong despite years of sleep. His heart began to beat faster as the machines brought him back to life. His eyes opened. They were dark and calm. There was no confusion in them, no fear. He knew exactly who he was and why he was being awakened. He was a hunter, and somewhere in the galaxy, someone had hurt his people. A voice came through the speakers in his pod. It was automatic, programmed to give him the information he needed. Hunter, you have been asleep for 47 years. During this time, humanity has maintained peace with the galaxy. That peace has been broken. The Empire has attacked and destroyed Colony 7. 5 million human civilians are confirmed dead. You are being activated under Protocol Hunter. Listened without expression. Your mission is simple, the voice continued. Find those responsible, end them. Show the galaxy why they should never hurt humanity. The pod opened, stepped out. His legs were steady. His mind was clear. The long sleep had not weakened him. Nothing could weaken a hunter. Around him, other pods were opening. Other hunters were waking up, men and women from different times and different places. Some had fought in World War III. Others had hunted the 2 centuries ago. They all had the same look in their eyes, calm, focused, ready. Walked to the center of the facility. The other hunters gathered around him. Nobody spoke. They did not need to. They all knew what had to be done. Finally spoke. His voice was quiet but somehow filled the entire room. They think they know war. They think they understand what it means to fight humans. He looked at each hunter in turn. We will teach them the truth. The hunters began to prepare. They checked their weapons and their equipment. They studied the information about the Empire. They memorized the face of High Commander and every officer who had participated in the attack. In a few hours, they would board their ships. They would fly across the galaxy in silence. They would enter space without being detected, and then they would begin their hunt. On 7, a few survivors had managed to stay alive in the deepest bunkers. Ho was one of them. He was injured and exhausted, but he was alive. He did not know if his message had reached Earth. He did not know if help was coming. But deep in his heart, he believed. He believed in the stories his grandmother had told him. He believed that somewhere the hunters were waking up, and he believed that they would soon learn why the galaxy had warned them. Do not attack humans, because when you do, the hunters come. And the hunters never stop. General stood in the command center deep beneath the mountains of Korea. She was 63 years old, but she looked younger. Her hair was still black with only a few strands of gray. Her eyes were sharp and clear. She had spent her entire life preparing for a day she hoped would never come. Around her, dozens of screens showed information from across human space. News channels were filled with images of destroyed 7. People were crying in the streets of Earth. Governments were meeting in emergency sessions. The whole human race was in shock. But General was not watching the news. She was watching a different set of screens. These showed the hunter facility. They showed the pods opening. They showed her hunters waking up after decades of sleep. A young officer approached her. His name was Sung and he was her assistant. He looked nervous. "General, the president is asking for an update." "Tell him the hunters are awake," said, without looking away from the screens. "Tell him the hunt will begin within 24 hours. He wants to know the plan." Finally turned to look at him. "The plan is simple. We find everyone responsible for 7. We end them. That has always been the plan." Sung hesitated. "The president is worried about public reaction. Some people are calling for a full military response. Others want to negotiate with the—" "Negotiate?" His voice was cold. 5 million of our people are dead. Women, children, old people who never hurt anyone, and some want to negotiate. They say more war will only cause more death." Shook her head. "They do not understand. This is not about war. This is about justice. And more importantly, this is about making sure no species ever thinks of doing this again." She turned back to the screens. "The hunters are the only response that matters. When we are done, the galaxy will remember for 1,000 years." In the hunter facility was studying his team. There were 47 hunters in total. Some he knew from past missions. Others were strangers who had been sleeping even longer than him. But it did not matter. Hunters did not need friendship or familiarity. They needed only a target. A woman approached him. Her name was Jin. She was small and thin, but knew she was one of the deadliest hunters ever created. She had been part of the team that ended the 200 years ago. She had personally killed over 3,000 of them. "How many targets?" she asked. "The fleet that attacked 7 had 312 ships," answered. "Approximately 90,000 crew members. High Commander led the attack from his flagship, the Conqueror." "Do we have locations?" "The fleet has returned to Prime, their home world. They are celebrating their victory." His voice showed no emotion, but something dark flickered in his eyes. "They think they are safe." Jin nodded. "When do we leave?" 4 hours. We will use the shadow ships. Enter space undetected. Begin operations immediately." Another hunter joined them. He was tall and muscular with a shaved head covered in scars. His name was. He was the among them, having been created only a century ago. "I have a question," said. "The Council and other species are calling for restraint. They want humanity to respond through diplomatic channels. Will this affect our mission?" Looked at him with calm eyes. "Our orders come from Protocol Hunter. Once activated, nothing stops us. Not diplomacy, not politics, not even our own government." He paused. "We are not soldiers who follow orders. We are something else. We are the consequence of attacking humans, and consequences cannot be negotiated." Accepted this answer. He was young as hunters went, but he understood his purpose. The next few hours were spent in preparation. The hunters checked their equipment carefully. Their weapons were special, designed specifically for their missions. They had guns that could kill silently from miles away. They had blades that could cut through any armor. They had poisons that could kill an entire ship crew in seconds. But their most dangerous weapons were not physical. Hunters were enhanced humans. Their bodies had been modified at the genetic level. They were stronger than normal humans, able to lift objects that weighed several tons. They were faster, able to run at speeds that matched ground vehicles. Their senses were sharper. They could see in complete darkness. They could hear heartbeats from another room. They could smell fear on their enemies. But their minds were the most enhanced. Hunters could calculate complex problems instantly. They could learn new languages in hours. They could adapt to any situation. And most importantly, they could suppress their emotions completely. Fear, doubt, mercy, these feelings did not exist for a hunter on a mission. They had only focus and purpose. Stood before his team. They were assembled in the launch bay, ready to board their ships. These ships were called shadows because they were designed to be invisible. They did not show up on any sensors. They made no sound. They left no trail. They could cross the galaxy without anyone knowing. Our mission has 3 phases, explained. Phase 1, infiltration. We enter space and establish positions. Phase 2, elimination. We remove their ability to defend themselves. We kill their commanders, destroy their communication networks, and create chaos. Phase 3, justice. We find High Commander and everyone who ordered the attack on 7. We end them. A hunter named One raised her hand. What about civilians? The home world has billions of people. Civilians are not targets, said. We do not kill innocents. Our targets are military. Those who planned the attack, those who carried it out, those who celebrated after, only them. This was an important distinction. Hunters were not monsters. They did not kill for pleasure or revenge. They killed with purpose. Every death they caused was calculated. Every target was chosen for a reason. They were not weapons of mass destruction. They were surgical instruments of justice. One more thing, continued. They do not believe we exist. They think the stories about hunters are myths. They think they are safe. A small smile appeared on his face. It was the first emotion he had shown since waking. We will change their minds. The hunters boarded their ships. Each shadow ship held a team of 4 hunters. They launched one by one, disappearing into the darkness of space. Within minutes they were gone. Even human sensors could not track them. On Prime, High Commander was enjoying his victory. He had returned home to a celebration. The Emperor himself had praised him. The streets were filled with parades. Citizens chanted his name. He was a hero. His mansion was filled with guests. Politicians, generals, wealthy citizens, they all wanted to be near him. They wanted to share in his glory. They raised glasses and toasted to the destruction of the human colony. To, they shouted, Conqueror of 7. Smiled and accepted their praise. He had proven what he always believed. Humans were weak. Their warnings were empty. Their hunters were myths. I told you all, he said to his guests. The humans talk big, but they have no real power. The galaxy has feared them for nothing. The Empire will soon take what we deserve. One of his advisors approached him quietly. High Commander, we have received messages from the Galactic Council. They are condemning our actions. Several species are calling for sanctions against us. Laughed, let them talk. What can they do? Our military is the strongest in this sector. No one will challenge us. What about the humans? The advisor asked nervously. What if the stories about the hunters are true? Grabbed the advisor by his collar and pulled him close. Listen to me carefully. I destroyed their colony. I killed 5 million of them. If they had any real power, they would have stopped me, but they did not. Their ships stayed away. Their hunters did not appear. He pushed the advisor away. The hunters are not real. They never were. The advisor nodded quickly and backed away. He did not want to anger the High Commander. What none of them knew was that they were already being watched. Outside the mansion, hidden in shadows that seemed deeper than normal, a figure observed the celebration. It was Jin. She had arrived on Prime 3 hours ago. She had moved through the city like a ghost, unseen by anyone. Now she was recording everything, every face at the party, every name that was mentioned, every who celebrated the death of human civilians. She touched a small device on her ear. This is Jin. I have visuals on primary target, is inside, approximately 200 guests. Security is light. They are not expecting us. Voice replied in her ear. Good. Continue observation. Mark all secondary targets. We begin phase 2 in 6 hours. Understood. Jin looked at the mansion one more time. The inside were laughing and drinking. They had no idea that death was watching them. They really do not believe in us. They will believe soon enough, said. Across space, other hunters were taking their positions. They infiltrated military bases. They hacked into communication networks. They mapped every defense system, every patrol route, every weakness in the infrastructure. They thought they were safe. They thought their victory was complete. They did not know that 47 humans had entered their territory. They did not know that these 47 humans were more dangerous than their entire fleet. Back on Earth, General watched the reports coming in from her hunters. Everything was going according to plan. They were completely unaware. Sung approached her again. "General, the President wants to make a public statement about our response to the attack. What should he say?" Thought for a moment. "Tell him to say nothing about the hunters. Let the world think we are still deciding what to do. Let them think they have won." She looked at the screens showing her hunters in position. "Soon, everyone will know, but not yet. Let them enjoy their last hours of peace." "Their last hours?" Sung asked. Nodded. "When the hunters strike, it will be fast. They will go from celebration to chaos in minutes. Their leaders will die, their military will collapse, and the galaxy will watch." She turned to face her assistant directly. "This is how humanity responds to attacks on our people, not with armies or fleets, with hunters, and after tomorrow no species will ever forget." Sung felt a chill run down his spine. He had read about the hunters in history books. He had thought they were exaggerated. Now, watching the reports come in, watching these enhanced humans move through enemy territory like shadows, he understood. The hunters were not exaggerated. They were worse. And they were about to find out. The first target died at exactly midnight. His name was Admiral Vex, and he was the commander who had ordered the bombing of the civilian hospitals on 7. He was sleeping in his bed on a military station orbiting Prime. He had guards outside his door. He had the best security systems money could buy. He thought he was safe. The guard outside his door did not even see the hunter move. One moment the hallway was empty. The next moment, a knife was in his throat. He died silently, sliding to the floor without making a sound. The hunter opened the door, moved into the Admiral's bedroom like water flowing through cracks. The Admiral was sleeping peacefully, dreaming of his victory. He never woke up. A single injection to his neck stopped his heart instantly. He died with a smile on his face, not knowing that justice had found him. Left a small card on the Admiral's chest. It had one word written on it: Hunter. Across space, similar scenes played out simultaneously. 13 high-ranking officers died in the first minute. They were the ones who had personally ordered attacks on civilian targets. They were the ones who had laughed while bombing schools and homes. Now they were gone. They did not discover the deaths until morning. When they did, panic spread quickly. General was the head of military intelligence. He received the reports in his office and could not believe what he was reading. 13 officers, he said to his assistant. How is this possible? They were on different stations, different planets, some were in secure facilities. We do not know, his assistant replied. There is no evidence of intrusion, no alarms were triggered, no cameras recorded anything unusual. Then how did they die? They were all killed the same way, a single injection to stop the heart, and each body had a card left on it. The assistant paused nervously. The cards all said Hunter. General felt cold fear run through his body. He had dismissed the stories about human hunters just like everyone else. But now, 13 of his officers were dead, killed in their sleep, killed without any trace of the killers. Increase security everywhere, he ordered. I want every officer protected by a full squad of guards. I want sensors on maximum. I want patrols doubled. Yes, General. But it did not matter. The hunters were already inside their systems. One had spent the last 6 hours hacking into military networks. She had access to everything. Their communications, their security codes, their patrol schedules. She knew where every officer was hiding. She knew which guards were protecting them. She knew exactly how to get past every defense. That night, 23 more officers died. High Commander was now afraid, though he would never admit it. He had moved to his most secure bunker deep beneath his mansion. He was surrounded by 50 of the best soldiers in the Empire. He had not slept in 2 days. "Find them," he screamed at his generals through a video screen. "They are just humans. How can they be doing this?" "We have searched everywhere," General replied. "We have found nothing. It is like they are ghosts." "Ghosts do not kill people. There must be evidence. There must be something." "High Commander, perhaps we should consider reaching out to the humans, asking for peace." "Peace?" Slammed his 4 fists on the table. "After what we did, the humans will not accept peace. They want revenge." "Then what do we do?" Did not have an answer. For the first time in his life, he did not know what to do. He had conquered 30 species. He had won 100 battles, but he had never fought an enemy he could not see. He had never faced fear like this. In the shadows of his own bunker, less than 20 feet from where stood, Jin watched him. She had entered the bunker 3 hours ago. She had walked past all 50 guards without any of them noticing. She was standing in a dark corner, listening to his every word. She could kill him right now. One quick movement and it would be over. But that was not the plan. Had to die last. He had to watch his empire crumble first. He had to experience the same helplessness that the humans of 7 had felt before they died. She touched her ear device. Primary target is in his bunker. 50 guards, he is scared. His voice replied, "Good, let him stay scared. Continue with Phase 2. The communication centers are next." The communication network was their most important system. It connected their entire empire. Without it, their ships could not coordinate. Their armies could not receive orders. Their government could not function. The network was controlled by 5 main stations spread across space. Each station was heavily protected. Thousands of soldiers guarded them. The best technology defended them. They were considered impossible to attack. The hunters attacked all 5 simultaneously. They did not use bombs or missiles. They used something more precise. Each team had a specialist who understood technology better than any engineer. These specialists found the weaknesses in the station defenses. They created viruses that spread through the systems. They caused failures that looked like accidents. Station 1 lost power. Every system shut down in seconds. The guards ran around in confusion, trying to find the problem. They never found the 4 hunters who had moved through the darkness and destroyed the backup generators. Station 2 caught fire. It started in the maintenance section and spread quickly. The fire suppression systems did not work because they had been disabled an hour earlier. The station was evacuated, but by the time anyone returned, the main computers were melted slag. Station 3 simply exploded. The official report later said it was a fuel leak. The truth was that a hunter named Minho had planted charges in exactly the right places to cause maximum damage with minimum size. Stations 4 and 5 experienced similar catastrophic failures. By morning, the communication network was gone. Ships could not talk to each other. Generals could not give orders to their troops. The empire that had bragged about destroying a human colony was now blind and deaf. The galaxy watched in amazement. News channels reported the chaos in space. Species that had condemned the attack on 7 now saw what was happening to the attackers. "It is the hunters," an old survivor said in an interview. He was one of the last 500 of his kind, refugees who had escaped the destruction of their people 2 centuries ago. "I recognize this pattern. This is how they destroyed us. Not with armies, not with fleets. They came in the darkness. They killed our leaders. They broke our systems, and we could not stop them." "Are you saying humans are responsible for this?" the reporter asked. "I am saying that they made the same mistake we made. They attacked human civilians. They thought they were safe." The old shook his head. "Nobody is safe from the hunters. Nobody can hide. Nobody can run. The only thing you can do is not wake them up in the first place." On Prime, society was collapsing. Without communications, supply ships could not be coordinated. Food was running out in some cities. Medical supplies were not reaching hospitals. Crime was increasing as the police could not organize properly. And the deaths continued. Every night, more officers died. More commanders were found dead in their beds. More generals disappeared from locked rooms. The cards that said Hunter were appearing everywhere. Soldiers were refusing to guard high-ranking officers because they knew it was a death sentence. High Commander had not left his bunker in a week. He had stopped giving interviews. He had stopped making public statements. He was hiding like a scared animal. Decided it was time for the next phase. He recorded a message and broadcast it on every remaining channel. People of the Empire, my name is I am a hunter. His face appeared on screens across space. It was a simple human face. Nothing special, nothing scary, just a man with dark eyes and calm expression. 1 week ago, your military attacked a human colony. 5 million of our people were killed. Women, children, old people who never hurt anyone. They were murdered while they slept. They were burned while they ran. They were killed without mercy. Paused. His face showed no emotion, but his voice carried weight. The warnings exist for a reason. The galaxy told you not to attack humans. You did not listen. Now you are learning why. I want to be clear. We are not here to destroy your people. We are not here to bomb your cities. We are not like you. We do not kill innocents. Every person who has died this week was a target. Every person who has died chose their fate when they participated in the attack on our colony. But we are not finished. High Commander is still alive. Every officer who ordered the attack and is still breathing will soon stop breathing. Every soldier who celebrated the murder of our children will face justice. This is not revenge. This is consequence. This is what happens when you attack humanity. We do not want war. We do not want conquest. We want to live in peace. But when you take that peace from us, when you kill our families and burn our homes, we respond. To the people of who did not participate in the attack, you are safe. We will not harm you. Live your lives. Raise your families. Remember this moment and tell your children. Tell them that humans are not to be attacked. Tell them about the hunters. Tell them that the galaxy's warnings were true. To High Commander, we are coming. Your guards cannot stop us. Your bunker cannot protect you. Your empire is falling around you. And when we finally stand before you, you will understand what 5 million humans felt when your bombs fell. You wanted to send a message to the galaxy, so did we. The broadcast ended. Across space, people watched in silence. The fear that had been building for days now became absolute terror for those who had been part of the attack. Officers who had not yet been targeted began to surrender themselves to authorities, hopping for protection. Some tried to run, fleeing to distant colonies or neutral space. It did not matter. The hunters found them all. General, head of military intelligence, was found dead in his escape ship 3 light years from space. He had a card on his chest. Admiral, who had commanded the bombing fleet, was killed in a restaurant on a neutral station where he thought he was safe. He had a card on his chest. Commander, who had given the order to bomb the schools, was found dead in a bunker that was supposed to be impossible to penetrate. He had a card on his chest. One by one, the architects of the 7 massacre were eliminated. The hunters moved through the galaxy like death itself. Nothing could stop them. Nothing could slow them down. They had a list of names, and they were crossing them off one at a time. In his bunker, watched his empire fall apart. His officers were dead. His military was paralyzed. His people were afraid. He had wanted to show the galaxy that we're powerful. Instead, he had shown them that could be destroyed by 47 humans. He knew they were coming for him. He knew there was nothing he could do. He could not run. He could not hide. He could not fight. All he could do was wait. And the waiting was the worst part, because he knew that somewhere in the darkness, the hunters were watching. And they were very, very patient. 3 weeks had passed since the hunters arrived in space. The empire that had bragged about destroying a human colony was now broken. Over 200 military officers were dead. The communication network was destroyed. The economy was collapsing. Fear ruled every corner of territory. High Commander had not seen sunlight in 20 days. He lived in his bunker surrounded by the last of his loyal guards. He barely ate. He barely slept. He spent most of his time staring at screens, watching reports of more deaths, more failures, more chaos. His 4 arms, which had once been raised in victory, now hung at his sides in defeat. His eyes, which had once burned with pride, were now dull with fear. He was a broken creature waiting for the end. "High Commander," one of his guards said nervously, "the Emperor has requested your surrender. He says you must face trial for leading the Empire into this disaster." Laughed bitterly. "The Emperor, a month ago he praised me. He called me a hero. Now he wants me to be a sacrifice." He shook his head. "It does not matter. I will not leave this bunker. If the hunters want me, they will have to come get me." "With respect, High Commander, perhaps surrender to the Emperor is better than—" "Then what? Death?" looked at the guard. "I am already dead. We are all dead. We just do not know it yet." The guard said nothing. He knew the High Commander was right. Every officer who had been involved in the 7 attack had been killed. Every general who had celebrated had been eliminated. Only remained. And everyone knew it was only a matter of time. Outside the bunker, hidden in shadows that had become their home, and his team waited. They had been watching for days. They knew every guard position. They knew every security system. They knew exactly how to get inside. But was waiting. He wanted to feel the full weight of what was coming. He wanted him to experience the same helplessness that the humans of 7 had felt. The ones who had watched the bombs fall. The ones who had heard their children scream. The ones who had known death was coming and could do nothing to stop it. Jin appeared beside him. "The others are in position. We can take the bunker whenever you give the order." Nodded slowly. "Is the galaxy watching?" "Yes, news channels are broadcasting live. Species across the universe are waiting to see what happens." "Good," looked at the bunker entrance. "It is time to finish this. Tonight they'll learn the final lesson." At exactly midnight, the attack began. The outer guards died silently. The hunters moved through them like wind through grass. Bodies fell without making a sound. Alarm systems were disabled before they could activate. Security doors opened as if welcoming their new masters. Heard nothing. He did not know his guards were dying. He did not know the hunters were inside his bunker. He was sitting in his command room, staring at a blank screen, lost in his own thoughts. The first sign of trouble was the lights. They flickered once, twice, then went out completely. Emergency power came on, filling the room with dim red light. Stood up, his 4 arms reaching for weapons that were not there. "What is happening? Guards, report." Silence. Guards. Still nothing. Felt cold fear run through his body. He had felt fear before in battle, when death was close. But this was different. This was the fear of a prey animal that knows the predator is near but cannot see it. "I know you are here," he said to the darkness. "I know you are the hunters. Show yourselves. Face me like warriors." A voice came from somewhere behind him. "You want us to face you like warriors." Spun around. Was standing there less than 10 feet away. He had appeared from nowhere. He was not holding any weapon. His arms were at his sides. His face showed no expression. "You bombed sleeping families from orbit," continued. "You killed children who never knew war. You murdered 5 million people who could not fight back. And you want us to face you like warriors." Tried to attack. He was still a soldier. He was still trained for combat. His 4 arms swung toward the human with all his strength. He hit nothing. Moved like water, flowing around the attack with ease. Before could react, he was on the ground. He did not even understand how it happened. The human had moved so fast that his eyes could not follow. Stood over him. The people of Seven could not fight back. They were civilians, farmers, teachers, children. They trusted in peace. They trusted that the galaxy's rules would protect them. His voice was calm, almost gentle. You broke that trust. More hunters appeared from the shadows. They surrounded, watching him with cold eyes. These were the same eyes that had watched the disappear 2 centuries ago. These were the eyes that every enemy of humanity had seen before the end. Please, whispered, he had never begged before in his life. I will surrender, I will face trial, I will accept any punishment. You think we came for punishment? Knelt down to look in the eyes. We did not come for punishment. We came to teach the galaxy a lesson about what happens when you attack humans. I have learned, said desperately. I was wrong, the warnings were true, I understand now. Yes, you understand now, but understanding is not enough, stood up. Your death will mean nothing. You are just one creature, one leader who made a terrible choice, but your empire will survive, your people will continue, and someday another leader might make the same choice you did. Felt a tiny spark of hope. You are going to let me live. No, shook his head. You participated in the murder of 5 million humans. That cannot be forgiven. But we are not going to destroy your people like you destroyed ours. We are not going to bomb your cities or kill your children. That is not what hunters do. Then what? Looked at the cameras in the room. They were broadcasting everything to the galaxy. Billions of beings were watching this moment. We are going to let you speak, said. Tell the galaxy what you have learned. Tell them what happens when you attack humans. Tell them about the hunters. Tell them why the warnings exist. Stared at him in confusion. You want me to talk? Yes, you wanted to send a message to the galaxy. Now is your chance. Stepped back. Speak. Slowly stood up. His body hurt from the fall, but he was alive. He looked at the cameras. He thought about all the species watching. He thought about the people who had trusted him. He thought about everything he had done wrong. I am High Commander of the Empire, he said. His voice was weak, broken. 3 weeks ago, I attacked a human colony. I killed 5 million innocent people. I did it because I believed humans were weak. I believed the warnings about hunters were lies. He paused, looking at the silent figures surrounding him. I was wrong. The hunters are real. They are more dangerous than anything I have ever seen. They entered our space without being detected. They killed our officers in their beds. They destroyed our communications. They broke our military, and we could do nothing to stop them. Tears were falling from eyes now. He had not cried since he was a small child. Do not attack humans, he continued. Do not test them, do not provoke them. They want peace. They are happy to live beside us without war. But if you take their peace away, if you hurt their families, if you kill their children, they will send the hunters. And the hunters will find you, no matter where you hide. No matter how strong you think you are, they will find you. They will destroy everything you have built. And when they are done, you will be like me. Broken, defeated, waiting for the end. Fell to his knees. He had nothing left. His pride was gone. His power was gone. His empire was gone. Nodded. Good, the galaxy has heard your message. He looked at the cameras one more time. Remember this day. Remember what happens when you attack humanity. We do not want war. We do not want enemies. We want to explore the stars and build and grow. But we will protect our people. Always. He turned back to, your trial will be held by the Galactic Council. Humans will not execute you. That is not our way. But you will spend the rest of your life answering for what you did. Every day you will remember 7. Every night you will dream of the children who died because of your pride. Said nothing. There was nothing left to say. The hunters disappeared into the shadows. They had completed their mission. The military leadership was destroyed. The message had been sent. The galaxy would remember. On Earth, General watched the broadcast with satisfaction. She turned to Sung. Order the hunters home. Their work is done. Yes, General, and the Council will handle them. Sanctions, reparations, whatever they decide. She paused. But they will never attack humans again. Neither will anyone else who watched today. 1 year later, a memorial was built on the surface of Seven. The planet was still recovering. New settlers were slowly arriving to rebuild what had been lost. The memorial was a simple wall of stone with 5 million names carved into it. Ambassador attended the ceremony. So did and his hunters, though nobody recognized them. They stood in the crowd like ordinary people, watching, remembering. A little girl walked up to the wall. She was a survivor who had been in one of the deepest bunkers during the attack. She was looking for her parents' names. Watched her search. He felt something stir in his heart. It was a strange feeling. He had spent decades with his emotions suppressed, but now, watching this child, something broke through. He walked over to her. "Do you need help finding them?" The girl looked up at him. "My mom and dad, they were teachers. They did not make it to the bunker in time." Helped her find the names. When she touched them, she started to cry. He did not know what to do. Comforting children was not something he had been trained for. But he tried anyway. He knelt down beside her. "Your parents were good people. They will always be remembered here." "Will the bad people come back?" the girl asked. "Will they hurt us again?" Thought about the question carefully. "No," he finally said. "They will not come back. And if anyone else ever tries to hurt humans like this, there are people who will stop them." "What people?" Smiled. It was the first real smile he had given in a very long time. "Just people who care very much about protecting families like yours." The girl nodded. She did not understand, but she believed him. She went back to her surviving relatives, leaving alone by the wall. Jin appeared beside him. "That was kind of you." "Was it?" Looked at the names on the wall. 5 million people, and we could only respond after they were already gone. We cannot be everywhere. We cannot stop everything. "I know," touched one of the names. "It belonged to a child, only 5 years old when he died. But we can make sure their deaths meant something. We can make sure no species ever forgets the cost of attacking humans." They stood in silence for a moment. Around them the ceremony continued. Speeches were given, flowers were laid, tears were shed. Finally spoke again. "The mission is over, time to go back to sleep." Jin nodded. "Until the next time we are needed." "Yes, until then." They walked away from the memorial, disappearing into the crowd. Nobody noticed them leave. Nobody knew who they were. That was how hunters operated. In the shadows, in the darkness, always watching, always ready. The galaxy had received its message. Humanity wanted peace. They were happy to trade and cooperate and build together. They were not conquerors. They were not destroyers. But they were protected. And anyone who forgot that lesson would learn it again. The hard way.